time of the year again, Halloween. And I've got some creepy Mandela effects that just might make you scream. So sit back and relax and let's get started. We all know Frankenstein. Most people actually call the monster Frankenstein, especially around Halloween time. But the fact is that the doctor is actually named Dr. Frankenstein, and his monster creation, well, he just doesn't have a name. But let me ask you, in Dr. Frankenstein's monster's neck, what's there? Is it electrodes or is it bolts? Did you say bolts? Well, you are incorrect. Frankenstein's monster has electrodes coming out of his neck. But if you thought it was bolts, you're not alone. Many people, including myself, remember him having bolts in his neck. Now, we all know about the Salem witch trials. In 1692, a group of young girls claimed to be possessed by the devil and accused several local people of witchcraft. Numerous of them were actually found guilty, and their punishment was death. But how exactly were they executed? Were they burned at the stake, or were they hung? Well, if you are like me, you remember them being burned at the stake. But in fact, they were hung, and one man was actually pressed to death. No one was ever burned. This is a big Mandela effect for me, as I remember learning at many schools that they were burned. I even remember watching documentaries on the Discovery and History channels about them, and they talked about them being burned. Now the story behind it is that that's just a common misconception. The Addams Family was a popular TV show that came out back in 1964, created by Charles Addams. It portrays a rather spooky family that other families found bizarre and frightening. In 1991, they made a full movie, and it was so popular they made even more and cartoons. But let me ask you a question. How do you spell their family name? Is it Adams with one D, or is it Adams with two Ds? Did you say Adams with just one D? Well, that's what I thought, and so do many others. But nope, it has always been Adams with two Ds. This one really bothers me because I know for sure it was always Adams with just one D when I was growing up. I was a big fan of the show and I loved all the movies. Even Charles Addams, the creator's last name, has also been changed and now has two Ds in Adams. And speaking of the Addams family, we all love Cousin It, the creepy little hairy, well, whatever the heck he is. But how do you spell his name? Is it Cousin It with just one T, or is it Cousin It with two T's? Did you say Cousin It with just one T? Well, guess what? You are absolutely, positively wrong. It is Cousin It with two T's. How crazy is that? I remember him always being Cousin It with just one T. Two T's looks pretty bizarre to me. What do you think? Now, in the 1990s Addams Family movies, what color was Wednesday Addams' dress? Was it all black, or was it black with small white flowers all over it? Well, if you said all black, you'd be wrong. In the movie, she wears a black dress with small white flowers all over it. This is quite a strange one, as the original Wednesday Addams in the 1964 TV show were all black. It is rather strange that for the movie they chose an all black dress with white flowers all over it. It makes her not look creepy or evil at all, as if she's really into flowers or something. There is also a scene where she is wearing a dress with strange white lines all over it. Totally bizarre. Many Wednesday Addams Halloween costumes are just a simple black dress. Some actually show Wednesday in her dress with white flowers right next to it. Why would they get this wrong? It doesn't make sense. I was never a fan of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. I always found them pretty corny. But growing up as a child, I always knew what Freddy looked like because so many of my friends were really into it. Plus, it was one of those types of movies most parents said, "You can't watch this because it's rated R." So of course, as kids, we always found a way to see it, right? Whether it be watching it over at a friend's house, or when the babysitter was watching us, or peeking out while your parents watched it together. But let me ask you, does Freddy have blades coming out on both hands? Or is it just on his right hand? Well, if you thought it was on both hands, you are wrong. He only has blades coming out of his right hand. Now for me, it's always been this way, but for a lot of others, they remember him having blades on both of his hands. And speaking of his blades, did he have them on each finger making 5 blades? Or is it just 4 blades? Well, turns out it's only 4 blades. But I and many other people remember it being 5. 4 on his fingers and 1 on his thumb. Now here's another bizarre Mandela effect with Freddy. As most of you know, when the Mandela effect changes something, it will often go back and change it again and again. So we have to keep a close eye on things that change. But let me ask you, what color are the stripes on Freddy's sweater? Is it red and black? Or are they red and green? Well, if you said red and black, you aren't alone. But nope, they are in fact red and green. They try to say that they just look black due to the dark scenes in all the movies. But come on, how can you miss this color green watching all these movies? It's so obvious. But not only did the colors of his sweater change, in the original 1984 Nightmare on Elm Street movie, guess what? The stripes on his sweater arms are completely gone. He now just has red sleeves. The crazy thing is, in all the other movies, the stripes are still there. It's only in this one movie where they are completely gone. How crazy is that? But so many people, including myself, remember him having those stripes on his sleeves as well. It is his famous signature look. How can you forget it? In the classic 1984 Gremlin movies, there is a famous gremlin with a white mohawk. He is the leader of them all and well known as the evilest who doesn't like Gizmo. Do you remember his name? Is it Spike or is it Stripe? Well, if you said Spike, guess what? You might as well kiss a gremlin. His name is Stripe. despite so many people, including myself, remembering him as Spike due to his pointy mohawk. Scary Movie is a parody spoof of Scream, which came out in the year 2000. It was an instant hit, and people would always walk around reciting the goofy lines from it. One famous scene is when Shorty is sitting around with his friends on the couch and he reenacts the scene from the movie The Sixth Sense. Do you remember him saying the exact line is from the movie, "I see dead people"? Or do you remember him saying, "I see white people"? Well, if you remember the scene being hilariously funny because he said, "I see white people," you'd be dead wrong. He now says, "I see dead people," which to me personally doesn't even make the scene funny anymore.
I see dead people. I see white people.
In Scary Movie 2, there is a character named Hanson with one tiny little hand. In one scene, a character is about to fall out the window. Hanson sticks out his tiny hand and said a very famous line many people have always quoted and even made memes about. Did he say, "Take my little hand," or did he say, "Take my strong hand"? If you swore he said, "Take my strong hand," you're not the only one. So many people remember him always saying, "Take my strong hand," and there is so much residue out there for this one that it's not even funny.
Here,
Oh!
take my hand.
Ah!
Come on. You're gonna fall unless you take my hand.
No! Give me your other hand!
Oh, my other hand isn't strong enough. You take my little hand.
No! Get it away from me!
Take it. Take mine.
So there you have it, you guys. Which one of these Mandela effects got to you the most? Let me know in that comment section down below. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and if you enjoy all my videos, please consider supporting me over on Patreon. Until next time, you guys, it's your boy Blaze from Need Input saying, remember, be kind, rewind your mind. Peace out, everybody, and God bless.